Hello, Naperville Library people, and happy Harry Potter week! Today I'm going to show you how to make the monster book of Post-it notes. For this craft, you're going to need a couple things. The first is a piece of fake fur. This is a supposedly fake wolf fur, which is what we'll be using today. A piece of white felt, a piece of red felt, googly eyes, Post-it notes, and 2 pieces of cardboard. If you picked up a kit, it'll have all those pieces for you. The only thing you'll need is a hot glue gun and a stapler to do the rest. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure my 2 pieces of cardboard are the same all around. We want our monster Post-it note to look symmetrical. So these are pretty darn close, so I'm going to keep that as it is. What I'm going to do next is put both pieces of cardboard like so over the fake fur. Now, what I'm going to eventually do is wrap the fur around and staple it to here. So you'll want to note if there's enough room to wrap all the sides around the cardboard. If there's not, feel free to trim the cardboard down a bit. I was going with one template, so some of the cardboard pieces may be slightly bigger than the others, but they should work for you just fine. As you can see, mine's a little tight here, so I'm going to take a second and trim my cardboard down. Now that I've trimmed these down a bit and made sure they still are pretty symmetrical, what I'm going to do is take one of them and put it toward one end of the fur. Next, I'm going to wrap the fur around once on each side and use a stapler to secure the fur to the cardboard. I'm going to do that on all 3 sides. Feel free to use more than one staple per side if you'd like. But I wouldn't use more than 2 because then it becomes pretty noticeable in the final product. So now you'll see it kind of looks like so. The corners look a little funky, but we can always come back to those in the end if you're not happy with it. Next, you're going to take the other piece of cardboard and do the same thing, but on the far end. You do want an inch or so in between the cardboard pieces, as that'll be the hinge that lets us open his mouth to get Post-its. Once you finish stapling them, what I would recommend doing is looking at both the top, both ends of this, and seeing if one piece looks better than the other in terms of overall look from the top. One thing you can do as well, especially by the hinges, is do a second staple there so the inner fur also gets pulled in and you don't see that manufactured edge as you open your monster book of Post-it notes. What you might also notice is you didn't trim it enough and the fur keeps pulling. When that happens, go ahead and give it a little tug. Usually you can get a little bit of extra fur there to staple. You may also want to adjust the corners as you go. I just wouldn't over staple and make our little guy look manufactured. So once you're happy with kind of how that outside edge looks, what you're going to do is start working on the Post-it notes and the teeth and tongue. Now, one last thing I will say you can do is if you're really unhappy with how that manufactured edge looks and you've already added staples to kind of turn it in manually, you can always just staple the fur onto itself in the center. You won't really see that because of the hinge. And that'll work out well for you. Now I'm using a pretty big stapler, but you can definitely use a pocket stapler or whatever you have at home. This is just what was easy for me to grab at the library. So the first thing you're going to do is take the tongue. Now my piece of felt is already pretty skinny, but as you'll see, we want to add that forked tongue look. So all I'm going to do is take the side that looks the best and cut out a little triangle. As you can see, my first go at it left a rather dull edge over there, so all I'm going to do is sharpen that a bit by adjusting my V. Next, I'm going to grab my hot glue gun and I'm going to insert the tongue. I'm going to put about half of it on the cardboard and have half hanging off the fur because we're going to want to be able to see it even when the monster book of Post-its is closed. So be careful, you will be able to feel the heat of that glue gun through the mouth. Perfect. And now you're going to take your Post-its and attach those. So just like we did with the tongue, I'm going to use hot glue. I'm just going to kind of do a Z formation over the tongue and the cardboard. Take the Post-its, making sure the open end faces toward the tongue. And press my Post-its down. So now you'll see that when we close his mouth, he's starting to come together. Next, what you're going to do is take the white felt and you're going to cut teeth for him. You want to leave a pretty healthy overbite, meaning you want to leave plenty of white to glue to the fur and the cardboard piece, because that's what will really attach it to the monster. I would go ahead and lay it out over your monster, see how that looks, make sure it's not too long, and then just start hacking away at teeth. Some can be long, some can be short. I don't think monsters have a singular set of teeth. They don't all go to the same orthodontist. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks, kind of jagged and uneven. So I'm just gonna kind of mock how that will look when he closed. A little too much of an overbite. You're just going to kind of want to play with how that looks when you finish it. And then, like you probably guessed, you're going to take that hot glue and you're going to put glue at the top. You may run into some fur in your glue. That should be fine as long as you make sure you get glue on the cardboard. You can also take those scissors and trim the glue so that it doesn't, or trim the fur so that it doesn't interfere with the glue, if that's easier for you. So now, my monster book has teeth, a tongue, and Post-its, but a monster book of Post-its would not be complete without some creepy googly eyes. So I would recommend using 3 or 4, and that's what your kit includes, 3 or 4 different eyes. So all I'm going to do is close that monster book, face me, kind of plot out how I want its eyes to sit by resting them atop his furry little head. And then I'm going to take that hot glue gun and stick them in place. Now this step can get a little messy because you're dealing with long fur here, so just give it your best go. I wouldn't use too much glue. You want to make sure the glue can be covered completely by the googly eye you're using. You don't want him to have mats on his furry head. So as you can see, I added his little eyes, he's got his teeth, he's got his tongue, and you've got your Post-its. So you are all set. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you don't lose a finger next time you go to grab a Post-it.